Viewers, we have some big breaking news coming in. Iran's President Pezeshkian says no enmity with regional countries. Iran's President said, and I quote, "I apologize to neighboring countries." Iran's President Pezeshkian says Interim Leadership Council approved that no attacks or missile strikes will be carried out against neighboring countries unless an attack against Iran originates from those countries. This is a big statement coming in from Iran's President. And to give us more details and help us read between the lines, we have our managing editor Karthikeya Sharma joining us live on this broadcast. Karthikeya, a very good afternoon to you. This is a very, very important statement that Pezeshkian has made. It's an apology that he has issued to neighboring countries for the attacks that have been carried out in recent past. Help us understand the situation.
Pezeshkian is saying that he has no enmity with regional countries. Pezeshkian says that I apologize to the neighboring countries. Iran's President Pezeshkian says Interim Leadership Council approved that no attack or missile strike will be carried out against neighboring countries unless an attack against Iran originates from those countries. You know, this is a big development because this is going to put pressure. This is going to put pressure on the Gulf countries not to allow Americans to attack them from their soil. So I think it's a very big decision that has happened. It's a big decision that has happened. I would say that Iran is creating counter pressure on America, and Americans are also, I would say, somewhere down the line, sideline on this issue, because a lot of people were saying that who gave the right to the Americans, to actually put the entire Gulf area in the quagmire of the war. And you know, I would say that by doing this, Iranians are giving a signal to the Gulf: please remove yourself from American military action. So this is a counter pressure by the Iranians so that the Gulf nations do not cooperate with America on military issues. And you know, this is something which I would say was coming. This is, I would say, something coming, and I am not surprised by this, because how much United States of America would have done for, say, UAE and its commercial interest. They would have saved themselves first. Or how much America would have done to save the civilian areas in Jordan, or how much America would have done to save civilian areas in, say, Bahrain, Manama, Oman, and many other areas, Iraq. So this entire operation had, you know, taken over the entire Gulf area. The Brent was going out of control in terms of oil prices. So I think it's a very, very important development that has taken place. And I would say that this might restore the confidence of people in the economy of the Gulf. So it's a counter pressure by Iran on the Gulf countries to recalibrate, ensure that they move away from the American interest. It's very, very interesting. You know, there has been no, I would say, love lost between Shia Iran and the Sunni countries who are signatories with the Abraham Accord. So this is like try to sow dissension. Okay, we are not going to attack them, but if there is an attack from your soil against us, we are going to attack. So these countries can create counter pressure on Americans not to use their soil against Iranian attack, which means that their basis, which America has in all these countries, can go defunct. That is where the story is.
And Karthikeya, how long before airspaces are reopened for operations? Because several, foreign nationals, including Indians, are also stuck in these Gulf states.
I would say that there are millions of people who are stuck in the Gulf states. But I think that is less of a story. More of the story here is in the context of the foreign policy. The foreign policy story here is that the Iran is trying to create a wedge between the alliance. Most of these countries have been so closely aligned with, I would say, America, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, Abraham Accord, the Middle East corridor. It involved the entire Sunni spectrum. There was no Shia spectrum there. They were trying to marginalize Iran. Iran is saying, we are the Gulf. Okay, we are the Gulf. Americans and us can have an issue. Americans and Israel can have an issue. We can have an issue in terms of security because Iranians have proxies all over Saudi Arabia. You know, Saudi Arabia and Israel were fighting a war with each other in Yemen. Saudis, Israelis and UAE fighting a war against each other in Libya and Algeria. But this was affecting the larger economy of the world. So I think this is a very, very important development. So in a way, Iran is also trying to signal. Now the Trump says that, what is Trump saying?
Sorry to interrupt you. We have Major General A.K. Sivach as well. Please kindly interact with Major General.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deepak, for allowing me to have a conversation with General Sivach. General Sivach, Karthikeya here. Good afternoon, sir. A very big development, sir. how do you look at in context of strategy that Iran says we suspend our military operation, and if there is an attack on us, only then we'll respond, till then no respond. In context of foreign policy and military strategy, what outcomes Iran must have thought before announcing this, sir?
You know, this is very strange in the sense two things stands out. One is that it has stopped only hitting to these 12 countries, that is Middle East countries, which are mainly Middle East countries and also including Turkey and Azerbaijan. You know, they are thinking that they don't want to get involved with these countries. After all, they are victim of crossfire because they gave a military base to US, and today Iran is hitting the military bases, and there are collateral damage which is taking place to the infrastructure of these countries, and especially their oil energy sector is completely ruined, and so is their basically tourism. I suppose these countries have put pressure on Iran, and Iran does not want to have enmity with the Muslim world. So Iran wants a goodwill. So possibly that is one reason. The second thing is Iran also knows that it does not have, the storage of or the stockpile of missiles and rockets and drones unending. After all, it is about 6 to 7,000 missiles and rockets and about, say, 52,000 to 60,000 drones. And they are presuming it that the war with Israel and US will still carry on. So I suppose this is the second thing. Third thing is possibly Masoud Pezeshkian, who is the president, is a moderate chap. He's giving an indication that they are ready for some sort of negotiation. I think that's also a very good news. Remember that there is a scope, there is a hope which is going on when Donald Trump is saying that in case if they put a moderate chap, the one which also approved by the US, they are ready to accept after Ayatollah Khomeini as a supreme leader. So all these developments are taking place. Something is there, but I suppose that Iran has now gone in a correct direction. Fully agree that it's a Shia country, and majority of these countries which has been hit are Sunni, but there are Shia population also. It is in Iraq, it is in Yemen, it is also in Syria. Of course, Syria has not been affected. So I suppose it's a positive direction, and this can lead toward the end of this conflict, which is unnecessary because it is affecting the economy of the whole world, especially the Strait of Hormuz is closed, where 20% oil goes. Houthi rebel is affecting the Red Sea. But by doing what Iran has said, that given indication, Iran is ready for negotiation.
Iran is ready for negotiation. This is the indication. But you see, so there is very, very interesting thing. I would like to bring you here. So you must have read him. You must have heard about him, sir. I'm talking about none other than Haftur. Sir, Haftur is a person, Khalaf al-Haftur, who built big parts of Dubai. He's the man. He's part of the al-Haftur group. He wrote an open letter to Donald Trump on March 5th, 2026, saying that who gave right to Donald Trump to organize a war. We didn't invest in Trump. And sir, who am I talking about? I'm talking about the man who holds exclusive dealerships of Bentley, McLaren, Bugatti, holds the divisions of Ritz-Carlton in Budapest, Al-Haftur City, multi-tower development, Dubai waterfront. Someone who represents the interests of the royalty there. And this article, a lot of people were saying, which was published in Middle East Eye, that is, in a country where public opinion and articles are so tightly controlled, is it reflecting the sentiment of the royalties of this region that please don't drag us into the war? General Sivaj.
Absolutely correct. Because after all, the royalty of this, region is also equally vulnerable. In case this sort of destruction take place in these countries, there may be uprising which take place against basically the rulers of these countries because they are feeling that they allowed the Americans to come and give them a basis. Today, it has become a liability for these countries because Iran is attacking on these military bases. And they were given place because they wanted a security. It has become a other way around. So this is very much possible. And second thing is, now America is looking after its own interests. America knows that all these countries after the war will now require more defense equipment because they are now feeling vulnerable. and there will be sale of defense equipment mainly from US. And the second thing is the Iran, as far as US is concerned, its main aim is how to control the oil of Iran. I suppose that is a very important thing which is there. But all these countries which are there in the Middle East, they want peace, they want the war to stop, and that's the main thing. And since there are monarchy, they are also worried that there can be a challenge to their own way of ruling, because the people uprising can be there in case if they find that people are now getting hit by the Iranian missiles and rockets, and they now challenge the monarchy that it has happened due to your wrong decision taken, that you have invited the Americans to have bases here. I suppose that can be possible.
Major General Sudhakar ji, thank you, sir. Sudhakar ji, am I audible to you, sir?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Sir, your first assessment of what has happened, this news has taken us by surprise. May I read out what Pezeshkian has said?
Please, please.
Oh, so, sir, the Pezeshkian announced that Interim Leadership Council approved that no attacks or missile strikes will be carried out against neighboring countries unless an attack against Iran originates from those countries. One, Iran president says that the US demand for unconditional surrender is a dream that they should take to their grave. This has been reported by AP. And he also says that I apologize to the neighboring countries. We have no enmity with the regional countries. And before that, sir, I was having a word with General Sivach, and I was telling him that Haptur, a very big magnate of Gulf, very rich man. It's like you can say that a mini Donald Trump, who was everywhere when, Abraham Accord was being signed and, all the top level diplomacy was being conducted, wrote an open letter to Trump on 5th of March, sir, saying that who gave Trump the right to create war in Gulf region. And, and a lot of people were saying that, who asked him to write such an article until the royalty asked him to do it, because, the public opinion is so tightly controlled in the entire West Asian region. So, and now this has happened. So, is it telling us that there was some deep churning taking place within the Gulf countries, sir?
Kartike, for you, it may be something out of the box or out of the world. For me, it was on the expected lines. It's a very mature and responsible decision that has been taken by Iran. They are mindful of the fact they have lost about, you see, when you talk about the missile inventory or the drone inventory, they have got a stockpile of 86,000 kamikaze, Shahid 136, good about 3,000 as per the open source. I keep maintaining they have got much more than that. What matters at the end of the day is, the sustainability, the larger good of Iran state as a nation. The larger good is to protect and extend the regime and its theocratic rule. This is the best option they have gone in for. And also by extending this conflict and expanding it beyond a particular limit will actually alienate them and isolate them. And third and most important thing, by having done what they have done, by retaliating against the arbitrary and unilateral kind of imposition of a conflict against Iran, taking off the lives of the supreme leader and 49 important leaders, they have highlighted one very important thing, that the international law cannot be subjected to cherry picking. I think, heard or read our Minister of External Affairs having articulated a beautiful thing, that you cannot do what you think is appropriate to you, and you cannot actually not apply the same thing when others start doing it. So this is called cherry picking of international law. There has to be some method in madness. You cannot, without declaring a war, you cannot, knock off the supreme leader or the head of one of the countries and 49 important leaders. Alongside, you take the lives of 180 odd young girls, students teaching, learning in the school. Also, the volleyball team. You cannot knock off a vessel which is so many miles away in the international waters without having warned. There has to be some method in madness to be followed in Cold War 2.0 in the 21st century. Because this is a big highlight, which I would actually, extend my gratitude to Iran. They have, by retaliating and having fought the war tooth and nail for 8 days. They have highlighted these important issues, whether Iran's regime remains or not, whether the regime undergo change or not, but the bulldozing way and pushing the arbitrary intention and objective of USA in 21st century has to be called out by one and all the world order. Then that meaningful and substantive way forward of peace and normalcy will have some meaning, and then that rule in the rules-based international will have some substance which is to be followed by one and all. Back to you, Karthik.
General Sudhakar ji, both what me and Deepak want to know from you is that, do you think that Israel and other people will fall in line? Because, America has got bases through West Asia. So what does it mean? Will the war will be like more from the seas and Iran, because America is not going to hold back? Are we saying that those bases are going to go defunct? So war will continue in a different shape, because ultimately it takes two to clap.
Absolutely. No, we raised a very pertinent point. Look, things are not going to go any different as long as Donald Trump is the president. He sees no rule. He sees no rules-based engagement or rules-based international order. He doesn't see. He's seeing only one thing, that he is supreme and his MAGA is supreme. Make America great again. How does he make America great again without causing turbulence or without disregarding the rules-based international order? He doesn't know, nor does he listen to anyone. And you see, after this, he will be going to Cuba. After Cuba, why has he hit a naval vessel of Iran in the southern coast, 200 nautical miles away from India? It is telling indirectly India that it is not Iran's vessel that I am hitting. Next is India I'll be targeting. That is what indirectly they have told us, that stop calling out the strategic autonomy that you have been harboring or nurturing right since your independence. You better bow down like Munir and Sheva Sharif and come to me like Pakistan. Will India ever do it? I think he's mistaken India. So anyway, we'll not digress, but coming straight to the point that you were raising, they have had more than enough losses in the army base or the military bases in the Middle East. The eyes and ears of American surveillance, command, control, communication, they have been shattered in this 8 days war. They have been taught a lesson, much against the claim that Donald Trump is making. I think the red line has been drawn as far as Iran is concerned. It's a very mature and responsible decision taken to pull back, the hallmark of a nation which is destined to go longer. Not that I'm in the side of Iran, nor am I talking in favor of the terrorism, but it's a very wise move. They have pulled back at the right time. Anything beyond this, they would have actually caused disaster, because the losses for Iran has been as much, if not more. They have lost about 100 out of 200 rocket launchers or the launchers which they have. They have lost good number of the depots. These are the strategic reserve depots. There has been destruction on some industrial bases which are underground tunnel. So under these circumstances, although the army is holding out, it is in favor of the regime. Although the people of Iran, they have got together, they have got galvanized, not like the Libya-like situation in 2011. All things are favorable, but it's a wise decision for Iran to have taken. And the configuration that you are asking about will not change. Donald Trump is going to come down heavily. It is going to reconfigure, restore the bases which were existing earlier. In fact, he will start putting more number of troops and the resources here. They will have a tight control on the Iran. These are the times, these are the issues which are coming into my mind. I can visualize things will be difficult.
But sir, General Sudhakar ji, there is also one more thing that is happening, which is very, very strange, sir. This is happening at a time when, for the first time in history after World War II, Americans have deployed, now they have ended up, sir, deploying 3 aircraft carrier battle groups in one war theatre. So first came the Abraham Lincoln, sir. So the second was the Gerald Ford, which was, removed from Venezuelan theatre. Sir, the Reuters have reported that aircraft battle group Bush, George W. Bush, has also been deployed in this theatre, which is 25% of the American capacity. Out of 11, 3 because generally 4 or 5 are always either in training or for the service. So they have ended up deploying 3 aircraft carriers. So if they are so serious in containing or ending the war, so why would a country deploy 3 aircraft carriers in a battle group or in a war theatre, sir?
No, no, I may be wrong, Kartikeya. You are as much well-read and you are very knowledgeable, I must say. I think during Desert Storm, America had actually deployed 6 aircraft carriers, if I'm not wrong. That needs to be verified or corroborated. Anyway, that is besides the point. But the fact that you're trying to raise is that, do they have any other intention? Why 3 aircraft carrier? Yes, they want to actually devastate. They want to destroy Iran. They do not want Iran because it is not Donald Trump's war. It is Netanyahu's war. What does Netanyahu want? Netanyahu does not want Iran to exist on the map of Middle East. He wants to extend the sphere of dominance and he wants to extend the boundary of Israel, wants to make the complete Middle East as extended Israel. That is the hidden objective and the aim. Can Netanyahu alone do it? No. Who is coming to his help? The Jewish lobby in America are coming to his rescue. The Jewish lobby have put pressure because without the Jewish lobby, Donald Trump cannot be in power. He is unlikely to make it in the midterm elections. And if he at all makes it, he will be making it only because of Jewish lobby. No president who's come for the second time would like to give way to Democrats midway. He also would like to love to have his complete full tenure. He is looking for third tenure. How can he achieve that? He can achieve that provided he listens to what the Jewish lobby in America doing or what they're expecting and demanding. That is the whole intention. He wants to devastate Iran. This is the need of the global order to actually galvanize. Everyone must call out, not only the global south, including the leading economies, the big G7 that we keep talking of. All of them have to call it aloud. Otherwise, they may become a future target. After this, you never know. He may switch his forces to Greenland. He's a man with no coherent, consistent kind of objective which you and me or a common person can understand.
Okay.
Back to you.
Oh, then please stay with me. Please stay with me, Sudhakarji. Let me just take the viewers who are joining us on 4 important things which the President Masoud Pezeshkian said, President of Iran. 1, those dreaming of Iran's unconditional surrender will take the dream to their graves. President Masoud Pezeshkian said amidst US-Israel airstrikes. Pointer number 1 that has come from the agency. He added that Iran will not carry out attacks or missile strikes against neighboring countries unless an attack against Iran originates from those countries. Pezeshkian said Iran's interim leadership council had approved the policy to avoid targeting neighboring states. 4th, he apologized to neighboring countries saying Tehran has no enmity with regional countries. So Sudhakarji, I really don't know if there can be any solidarity between the Shia-Sunni axis in West Asian politics, because if we take away Donald Trump, the enmity between MBZ, MBS and the Iranian leadership has been tremendous. You know, for the Persian, Arabs are Arabs, and for Arabs, Persians are the one, you know, who dreams of empire. So it's historical. So, you know, there's a historical enmity between Persia, who thinks, or the Persians or the Iranians who think that they're a state which precede Ottomans, precede the current leadership structure of the Arabian Peninsula, who are a result of the breakdown of the Ottoman Empire, like Jordan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Yemen. So, you know, they look down on these kingdoms because they feel that they are the ones who were there. Like, for example, a lot of people say that the impact of the Persia is also on South Asia. The words are common, you know, the Persianate empires. So in that context, can there be any reconciliation, sir? Any reconciliation in a larger historical sense, sir?
I can't compliment you enough. Profound. Your depth of knowledge is profound. Excellent. So let's see Shia-Sunni crisis. Shia-Sunni crisis is not yesterday or day before yesterday's conflict. It's been going on for past 1400 years. They have not come to any kind of reconciliation. There has not been any solution in sight. However, Donald Trump's one of the not hidden, stated, transparent objective is the Abraham Accord. He started during his tenure. He took it forward. I think there are 4 or 5 members who have already signed, including UAE, you have Morocco, you have Bahrain, such like countries. They're already signatories. Saudi Arabia was supposed to sign prior to around 7 October 2023 with Israel. So ultimate aim is to have Abraham Accord in place. This is a big turning point that Iran has given a good kickback, good response to USA and others. And they've given a message that never underestimate Iran. At the same time, my understanding is perhaps he's giving some kind of a signature. There is an attitudinal change amongst the people of Iran. The demographic profile has undergone change. They have been subjected to too much of harsh economic sanctions, which is unbearable at the moment. Therefore, there is an offer of compromises from both the sides. America also has had losses. America is looking for a face saving. It will be very, very complicated and difficult and very embarrassing for American leadership now to look for face saving and say, sorry, we are the one who's taken the beating. Now there is a track 2 dialogue which is in progress. I'm not supposed to disclose, but let me, since you have since you have triggered the discussion, there is a dialogue in progress behind the door. And that dialogue should rightfully take the whole thing into a progressive, forward-looking kind of a roadmap. That roadmap will come about not in ultimate or comprehensive reconciliation between the Shia and Sunni, because this is what I understand. The centrality of your question is, will there be a permanent, lasting reconciliation between Shia and Sunni? My answer is no. But in this fits of fury, with ifs and buts, something is better than nothing. This reconciliation is going to transform not only the entire Middle East, the very concept of peace and normalcy in the world order. It will bring about a turn, a holistic kind of a turnaround of peace, normalcy, law and order, and progress and improvement in the quality of life. It will change the entire concept of humanity towards peace and normalcy. Back to you, Karthik.
You said that, the Trump will continue with his wars. If he's not going to fight the war in Gulf, he might go to Greenland. If he is not satisfied there, he might go to, any other area of war. And he's doing it without the permission of the Congress. Republicans have blocked the entire thing in the Senate. There are no boots on the ground. So, he has an escape clause. But the fundamental things here is that American unilateralism is facing no resistance. That is the most worrying part. If you look at the behavior of both Russia and China, there has been no resistance from any power in context of what the Americans have done. And in a way, the really worrying part is if you look at the American politics, I mean to say they are dictating it as if there's a gunda on the on the field. For example, as a journalist, and I was very surprised when Scott Besson tweeted that we have asked India, we have allowed them to purchase Russian oil for 30 days. I mean to say we are a sovereign country. We don't need your permission to buy oil from some country, not to buy oil from some country. And the guy is tweeting it out. We have told them to buy oil to stabilize the prices. Tomorrow, if India does not buy oil from if continues to buy oil on the 35th day, then we are going to use tariff against them. So I mean to say that this entire chaos that Donald Trump, sir, has unleashed is actually, people will say that the guy is mad, but he's also telling the world that American military unilateralism cannot be resisted by the Russians and the Chinese. If you look at what the guy has done in Venezuela, what he is doing in Iran, Russia might be supplying the tactical information to Iran where to hit Americans, or the Chinese might be testing their so-called weapons radar system, but it has not actually prevented the Americans from doing what they want. And in such disregard of any law of the world or anything created by them, the so-called Bretton Woods institutions post 1945. So I would say that it just goes on to show, I'm sorry to use the word, because this is what I feel, and I should be asking questions and you should be answering them, but my question is laced with my own view of this war that is happening, and I'm no supporter of the oppressive regime which is in Iran, IRGC, but with the impunity they have done things with, it just establishes the raw American power, the nakedness of it.
Again, Thucydide doctrine. The powerful will do what it can, and the weak will suffer what it must. Might is right. Jiski lathi uski bhaish. So therefore, you made a very good narrative. What it is pointing to is that, so what? What next? Should the world order take it as it has happened and take it as one of those events which have happened in the world order till now? Or should we take it as a benchmark or a turning point for the world order to actually galvanize and come together and call it out? Now or never, enough is enough. Hereafter, let them start repainting as a new artist with a brush in their hand. He said, no, this becomes the turning point beyond which we will not accept this nonsense. Superpower or no superpower, they may be the largest economy in the world. They may have all the military might with them. But unless they are supported by, you see, when you join the fingers and make a fist, then the blow becomes stronger. So if there is only one thumb or one finger trying to hit at you and rest all fingers are not supporting, it doesn't become a powerful fist. So therefore, if the world order gets together, this is the time for courage, conviction, and unity, which should actually teach America a lesson, because this cannot go on like this. We must stand up. The United Nations must come and be effective by taking it. This is going to be a such kind of a force multiplier.
Sudhakar ji, United Nations has turned into another League of Nations. I'm really sorry. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing the way these multilateral organizations have conducted. I'm also joined by Major General SPP Singh. Thank you so much, sir. You are with General Sudhakar ji. General Singh, your opening comments on what has happened. Do you think it's going to create a reprieve, or Americans are going to go their own way with Israel, sir?
Well, Karthike, what reprieve really would be there? What America is doing is they have faced a counter-Iranian, I would say, operational actions, which perhaps they had not appreciated it in the manner in which Iran has unfolded its ballistic missile and drone might, and withstood all the aerial bombardment jointly with Israel, which they did. Now, that be so, where do we stand now? America is unconditional surrender, which Iran will not agree to, or they have not agreed to, and they would not. You see, it goes back to the civilization aspect as well. It's a Persian land with tremendous pride, and they're not going to succumb to such threats. So what Iran did, they unfolded what was post-June 25 Khomeini plan of resilience and to increase their military might. And military might was in terms of ballistic missiles and drones, and to renew their nuclear, restart their nuclear approach for weaponization. Now, with that in mind, what has happened with all the killings, 48 military commanders or the political heads, including Khomeini, the resilience has come into play. 4 down, decentralization of command and control, next man takes over. This has hit the American and Israeli thought process, or both on the political as well as the operational front. So what is now there? They also had warned the Gulf states, they do not give acknowledgement or support to the Americans. Well, the Gulf states actually have lost their Arabian pride, and they have succumbed to the American pressure. And what is the result? Iran has carried out certain actions on them, on the American air bases and some of the oil fields and refineries and some civilian targets. Now, this has hit the Gulf world. It has also been a strategic blunder on the part of Iran to have overindulged in this aspect. And what has happened is that Gulf states have now given further support to Americans. But they have also realized that our own security, the security umbrella which Americans had perhaps assured them, America has fallen far short of it. Now, that is why I think the president of Iran, Pezeshkian, has come out with an apology to the Arab states, to the Gulf states. And that may be a little way forward, a step forward of reconciliation if it takes place in the current scenario. But however, where are we at this stage in the war? But I would like to say that The turning point will only come because survival or collapse of Iran's strategic missile force and their drones is subject to how much destruction or the total destruction of missile launchers and production sites which Israel and America can cause. And on the counter side of Iran would be how they retain the second strike capability. You see this now in the second week, this war. So it's the second strike capability, I would call, of the missiles and the drones which Iran is launching. And it is their supply chain system, their military-industrial complex, I would call it, which can replenish them with that. So that is where whichever side prevails in this would be the turning point one. So when I am asked questions, how long the war will last, I said we should not think in terms of time. We should not think in terms of space. It is this logistics, sustenance, and the replenishment supply chain system which will come to foreplay. Second turning point is, as we are now seeing the control of Hormuz. Hormuz, Iran has given a warning. They cautioned, and we found that 37, even the Indian ships or tankers, they stopped. There has been no trade going or minimal now. America's assurances of ensuring tanker cover for movement has not got any customers, I would say. It is basically the insurance and the freight charges which have affected the Hormuz Strait. But here again, what is the options? Possibly Iran would have or may lay mines, anti-ship missile attacks they'll carry out, drone strikes on tankers, and even I would say, the IRGF Navy, which is there, they will harass with their fast patrol boats. Partial disruptions would be caused. So closure of Hormuz is one of the aspects.
That's right, Major General Singh. This is a global choke point of sorts that we're looking at, especially in light of the escalating tensions. But let me also bring in Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni as well, defense and strategy expert. A very good afternoon to you, General Sanjay Kulkarni. Your first thoughts on Pezeshkian's apology to Gulf states, saying that we apologize for the attacks carried out, and he has also temporarily halted military operations against these Gulf nations, saying that we will not fire the shot till a first shot is fired from their soil. How do you interpret this, sir?
I think it's come a little late, but notwithstanding, it was entirely the fault of the Iranians to have counterattacked these states, because as long as they had confined themselves to firing on the American bases in those countries, it was perfectly fine. Everybody would have said that they were defending their territorial integrity, sovereignty, and whatever one has to say, they were okay. But as long they've gone beyond their mandate and they've attacked their hotels, they've attacked their ports, they've attacked their infrastructure, is indicative that they've pulled them against Iran. And today, at that point of time, there's a deep divide now between the Arab world and the Persian world. What Pezeshkian and the Iranians thought that they could get the entire Islamic world to fight the Americans and the Israelis, that hasn't worked, because now they have divided. The two worlds have got divided. Secondly, more than anything else, I think it's come too late for Pezeshkian even to apologize. Now, what apology? 15,000-20,000 of the American troops from there have already moved out. The bases over there were to defend those countries. Now, if they were to bring down the economy of the West Asian countries, I think the Iranians will suffer. Now, it is time that Iranians, at any point of time, they must not attack, because now I think there's none. Iran has lost support base that it had in the Islamic world. How many countries are standing now with Iran today? Not many countries in the world will stand with Iran, because most of the Arab world and the Persian world are two distinct worlds. And therefore, you have a problem in Iran itself. You'll have a problem with the Arab world itself. And if Iran intends to take the Arab world down with it, that's impossible, because the Americans will come and support this. And after even if you see the JCPOC, you see after the Abraham Accord, all of this, you'll realize that the Arab world wanted to be friends with Israel. Iran never wanted to be friends with Israel after the 1979 revolution is concerned. So Israel has always been a kind of a threat to Iran, and Iran had all along been saying that we will throw them into the sea, we'll fight them out of the world, their existence doesn't exist, and they are not supposed to exist in this world at all. This kind of thinking, a process of the clergy in Iran is also problematic, resulting in their problem is concerned. And as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned, Iran also suffers. It isn't that Iran, the Chinese also suffer. The Chinese have a $400 billion, 30-year deal of oil with Iran. And all for what? Only for this. Who facilitated the deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran? The Chinese did it. And what have the Iranians done instead? They have instead gone and firing on the Saudis only. So who is suffering? Iran is on the back foot now. Now Iran is trying to recover whatever little space it had wanted to get into it. But now I think it's too late because Iran has done what it had to do. Iran has a sizable missile and sizable drones, but those won't last enough. And I think in the next about a week to 10 days, it'll be very, very evident where Iran stands. I don't think Iran has the ability now to retaliate as much as it wishes to. And therefore, this kind of a thing, we will not fire. We will not fire there. We will not do it in Kuwait. We will not do it in Qatar. Oman, a country which facilitated talks between the Americans and the Iranians, they attacked Oman also. And in Strait of Hormuz, there are the 8 islands. One of the islands is with Oman also. 7 islands are with them. And therefore, the Strait of Hormuz itself, if the Americans, it's one of the mandate of Central Command over there of USA to ensure that the Strait of Hormuz is kept open. They will keep it open. They will ensure. Watch another 1 week. The Iranians have to be pushed back. Entire Navy virtually dissipated. What does Iran have left with now? Nothing. The IRGC has whatever it has. That's also gone. So the airspace gone, maritime domain gone, the missile depleted. What does Iran have other than shouting and screaming at this point of time and trying to mend ways and fences with the Arab world? So there is a problem which Iran has understood, and now is the right time that Pezeshkian has come out with a statement to ease itself so that at least the Arab world doesn't get totally against the Iranians, and the Iranians are now left by themselves. Who's coming to the help and assistance?
Given Iran's history of it backing, Shia militias in the region, do you think the Arab world is very skeptical about the reassurance?
Not at all, because who are helping Hamas? Who are helping Hamas are Sunnis? Who are helping Hezbollah? Shias? Who are helping Yemen? Shias? Who are helping the ones in Iraq? All the terrorist organizations? Iran. So Iran is in a fix. Iran really doesn't know. Iran wanted the mantle of the leadership. Leadership with whom? Who were they fighting with? Not the Turks. The Turks have lost the Ottoman Empire long back. The Saudis. And the Saudis who tried to get them together with the Chinese. The Chinese also, they are not wanting to be there. The Chinese have a railway line. In case Kazakhstan allows the railway line to go right up to Iran. So the logistics of Iran from China can be done because there's a railway line running right through up to Tehran. So there is no problem. But provided Pakistan, Kazakhstan, all these countries are now with America because they have a deal with America. So the Americans won't let that railway line move beyond that Chinese borders. So there is a lot of logistic problems that are going to crop up for Iran. So Iran is not going to be there. Iran is going to be all by itself. And how long can it fight and how long can it sustain? It can't sustain. There's a water shortage, there's a food shortage, a whole lot of them, continuous firing. Even if there's a pause in firing for some time, after that the Americans are going to go hell for leather. They have to go hell for leather. The Americans want the war to end within about 10 days, whereas the Iranians would want it to extend for beyond 6 months if they wanted the way. Americans are spending in 100 hours, they've already spent $3.15 billion in 100 hours. If this is the cost of the Americans, they won't be able to bear. The cost of petrol, diesel, gas in America has already gone up a week back. In Delhi, it has gone up today. Then you can well imagine the gas prices have gone up in Delhi today. Then we have been able to hold on to it. So there is a problem. The world over, everybody, there will be a problem. There's no denying the fact. Iran will, as I see it, will wait for another 10 days. If it is not able to live up to its this thing, well, Josh, Jazba, Janoon, but the Josh, Jazba, Janoon of Iran has to be backed with material resources. There are no equipment. There's no material coming. Who will support? And whatever, how much do they have? Nothing. All the missile bases are being hit very hard. Nuclear gone. Airspace gone. All the missile bases gone. Infrastructure gone. Power structures are being hit very badly. Hospitals are being hit badly. Where will Iran go? What will it do? Unless until those 90 million
sir, while Iran is trying to play the war by exhaustion strategy, it's actually backfiring against them itself. And how do you think the Arab world will interpret this, sir? Will they interpret this as a concrete reassurance or a decision, tactical decision that is backed by military pressure?
Yeah, the Arab world wants peace with Israel. primarily because they've realized that the energy resources will deplete in the next 50 years. So they want peace with Israel. The Americans are facilitating that peace with Israel, and Americans also want to ensure that they have a base in Israel. And in that context, as I see, the Iranians, though an old civilization, though just about 70 years back, only precisely 70 years back, just immediately after the Second World War, nobody expected that oil would do. All of them, other than Iran, were on camels. Today they are on Mercedes. Just in about 1938 and later, 100 years, they're all onto Mercedes. They were just 1938, they're all on camels. Iran was never on camels. Iran is an old civilization. So there's a divide, deep divide between the Persian world and the Arab world. And the Arabs and the Persians don't see eye to eye, not only being Persians and Arabs, but even otherwise. And within Persia itself, Iran, there are four distinct groups. One, the Persians, 60%. You have Azeris who are 24%. You have Kurds who are about 12%. You have Baluchis who are about 4%. And the rest of them another 4%. So you have a straight divide within this thing. And the Balochistan is not Shia. It's Sunni. Imagine, it's a huge portion which has a 900 kilometers border with Pakistan.
So, sir, are you saying that the crisis could revive the sectarian fault lines between the Shia, Iran, and also the Sunni power centers in Arab nations?
Absolutely. You will find that. It has to happen because all said and done, the Arab world is inclined towards America. The Arab world wants to survive. Arab worlds have not seen the prosperity that they have seen. This is the first time the Arab world sees prosperity in the last 100 years. Before that, there were camels. Iran has seen prosperity. Iran is an old civilization. They've seen what it means. Iran is a loser. The rest of them are gainers. Why would Saudi Arabia lose its prosperity? Why would Kuwait lose its prosperity? Why would Qatar want to lose its prosperity? Why would UAE want to lose its prosperity? They've all got their prosperity only in 1938. Not before that. After the Second World War, even Miles who had got the entire oil rig facilities in this thing, all processes started only after the nationalization of oil. When first Saddam, nationalization, then Pahlavi, nationalization, all of these nationalization problems started off with UK and USA. Otherwise, why else would there be a problem? And of course, the dollars. The whole thing is, if you deal with oil, you have to deal in dollars. If you don't deal in dollars, America will not let you deal with oil. Venezuela, please take oil. America is saying, take oil, but in dollars. Iran, please take oil, pay in dollars. You can't have a $400 billion deal one-to-one. You can't have 85% Venezuela oil pick. It's wrong, but that's the way it is. If you have a way to fight it out with me. That is what they're saying. If you have the dispute, fight it out with me. So Americans have come out openly that should you not agree with us, there it is. So from multipolar world, back to unipolar world, back to policing the entire world, that it is me and me alone, at least in terms of, because a $30 trillion economy has a $30 trillion debt. Can you imagine a country with a $30 trillion, number one, has an equal amount of debt? Would it be possible for anybody to live? So what is Trump doing? Trump is in the national interest of his. There are no permanent friends. There are no permanent enemies. There are permanent national interests. So right now, I think what Trump is doing, I may not like him, but he's doing it positively. What he's doing is for the good of his own country. He may have been done wrong. Iran, an old civilization, love it, respect it, a great honor for that country. But right now, you cannot support terrorism. You cannot support Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, world over.
So, but don't you think that if Iran successfully reassures its neighbors, then this could possibly dent the narrative of a Shia-Sunni confrontation in the region?
Iran can never do it. Iran can never ever do it. That's unfortunate for Iran. Though despite it, why doesn't what is the problem between Iran and Pakistan, or for that matter between Afghanistan and Pakistan? Same problem. What is the problem between Balochistan and Pakistan? Same problem. The Iranians have been blaming Pakistan for what? That they're supporting their terrorists who are wanting to fight. Who are these people? They're Sunnis. Sistan, Balochistan is Sunnis. The Shia is Iran is Shia. But this huge province is adjoining Balochistan, that is Pakistan, is this thing. There are 900-kilometer border which Afghanistan has it with Iran. 900-kilometer border which Pakistan has it with Iran. So imagine the problems here itself that the Iranians can't face it. The Iranians can't handle this problem. And now they'll top it up. You have the others. Otherwise, 1,700-kilometer distant Israel. What problem does it have? Nuclear and all can be sorted out. What is the nuclear problem? It's not much of a huge issue. We know, I'm sure they must be monitoring everything what is going on. Because after the JCPOA knew what was going on, the Abraham Accord was there to what was happening. But the Iranians do not at any point of time want the existence of Israel. That's for sure. With every discussion that we have, the Iranians seem to feel that Iran does not exist, and Israel is not supposed to exist, and Israel is not a country. It's not a country at all. And therefore, uska wajood nahi hai. You hear an Iranian, and the first thing he'll say, Israel ka wajood nahi hai. That means they do have problems with identity crisis. And therefore, my take on this entire thing would be, Iran right now has to reconcile, go on the back foot, realize its worth. It's okay, perfectly fine. They have done much more than what the world expected from them, to be honest with you.
General Kulkarni, let's, finally I would want to ask you one question. Let's leave the Shia-Sunni angle aside, but on the war front, do you think that this apology is very tactical, coming at a time when, Iran is also running out of missiles, drones? Because if you look at the frequency of attacks since day one and how it is right now, on day 1 and 2, they launched barrages of missiles back to back. But now the attacks are very, very selective. About 50 to 60 missiles or maybe 100 missiles a day. So do you think this is a tactical, back step that Iran has taken?
Yes, 100%. The 100%. Iran is trying to recover from what it is into. Iran is into a real problem. There's no denying the fact. So that is the reason why Iran is finding it extremely difficult to handle it. Now it's not possible for Iran because it's shot whatever it had with them, and that's it. And therefore, now it requires a breather. And this breathing space is what Pezeshkian is looking at. Yeah.
Right, so Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, many thanks for joining me with your valuable insights. And this development alone, viewers, Pezeshkian coming out and apologizing and also giving a very, very fierce response to Donald Trump has several implications that only time will tell. But right now, let's slip into a very, very short break. We'll be right back with more on the other side.